Hello. 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 I am so glad to be here with you. I am going to be talking all about how to turn around holiday burnout. And the first lesson that I'm going to talk about actually is kind of from my Audible from this morning. Because if you're watching live, I usually say that I go live at around 10 o'clock. Um, Hi, Jessica. But today I'm going live at 10:15 because life is lifing. And I think what I can share from my own life around this, around being late to something that you've decided you're going to do, or just having something go awry, I honestly chalk up a huge reason as to why I am not burnt out anymore to be around the fact that I just don't really let sideways things stress me out that much, or I don't have a narrative in my head anymore that's so harsh about what it means about me if something goes wrong. I feel like I should do a whole separate live on this, honestly. So I'm gonna put a pin in that for now, but let me know if you're interested in hearing more about like that mindset shift and how that in and of itself helps you basically not only prevent burnout from a mindset perspective, but also actually helps you improve the circumstances of your life faster. So let me know if that sounds interesting to you in the comments below. If you are here, hi there. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Today, we're going to be talking all about how to turn around holiday burnout. So, maybe you're in a situation like I used to be in, and one that I see so many people in nowadays, which is full load at work. A lot of, especially if you work at a corporation or if you any kind of a job, honestly, around the holidays, there's a big push to deliver a lot of stuff around the end of the year to either end out the fiscal year strong or to accommodate holiday shopping. If you're, a product-based business or if you work for a product business, um, there's just so much sales that happen at this time of year, at least in commercial America, which that's a whole other topic of conversation. And then we have all the holiday parties, all the pressure to be spending time with family and have these like special moments. Um, and not to mention that everyone else and their mother is all traveling all at the same time of the year. So that means that all of the burden of travel and meeting up with people is even more stressful because there's just more people on the road, more people in the air. And so that means that there's just more things to manage, more logistics that could potentially go awry, which again, maybe that ties in with what I was going to talk about or what I kind of led off with. I think I'll do a whole separate live on that. But let's say that these are the circumstances that you're in. And in the broader context of your life, you're in a moment in your life where you're making big changes. You are changing how you relate to yourself away from someone who has been burnt out, exhausted, just like running yourself ragged, performing excellence for other people constantly as just kind of like your baseline, having like punishingly high expectations for yourself and making it mean something terrible about you if you can't live up to those expectations. So if you add holiday stress like on top of that kind of foundation, then holidays are a recipe for massive, massive burnout for so many people. So, what I want to talk about with you is a couple of things that you can be doing right now. You can literally take these things away today in order to shift your trajectory of your holidays to be more energizing, more nourishing, less depleting, to reduce the emotional strain, to reduce the logistical strain, all of these kinds of things, like focusing on choosing what you can choose and controlling what you can control. Because again, this is the thing is like, unfortunately, we're not able to like control what other people do and how they show up during the holidays, but we can change how we relate with ourselves and with other people in our life. And that's what we're going to be focusing on today is like the little actionable things that you can do to do that so that you can have your holidays actually be a truly invigorating and special time, like, all of the things that are marketed to us about what it's supposed to be like. So, yeah, if you are here live, I would love to hear from you. Like, what is stressing you out about the holidays this year? And what would you like to be doing instead? Like, what changes do you want to make? What are you hoping for? Like, what would you dream for the holidays to look like, to feel like? I would love to hear. Um, so the first, as you're writing that, take your time, write that in the chat because I would love, love, love to hear. I always love to hear what is going on for you. And that means that we can incorporate this into the discussion today and actually do a little bit of like Q&A on the things that are coming up for you. So the first thing that I want to talk about, I want to tell you a better attitude, says Stout Nika. Okay, awesome. Tell me more. What do you mean when you say a better attitude? Like, what specifically does that mean to you? Because I know for many people, this having a better attitude could actually look really different. So I'm curious, what does that mean to you? And I'll be here and I'll check in with the chat once you share your reply because I would love to hear. As you're writing that, all of you sharing what you want to be different about this holiday season, I want to talk about two things that are true about airplanes. Um, oh, a lot of anxiety about expectations. Ooh, that's great. You know what? We're going to talk all about expectations after, like, yeah, in a couple of minutes. That's actually the second thing that I was going to talk about. So, the first thing that I want to share with you, which applies to expectations and adjusting your expectations or whatever change you want to make around the holidays, is um, don't underestimate the small, small, small interventions. And this is why we're going to talk about airplanes. Two truths about airplanes. All right. One truth about an airplane is that if you change the direction of the airplane by 1 degree, it will end up over the course of, however many hundreds or thousands of miles, it'll end up in drastically different locations in the world. So just 1 degree. 1 degree. Hi, Marley. Good to see you. So exciting. Okay. I love seeing all of you here. It's so wonderful. So 1 degree. What would your 1 degree shift be if you could make the tiniest little shift and have it land you in two completely different areas of the world? What would that be? So that's the first thing that I want to help you remember about change, the process of change. Just like an airplane changing 1 degree, you can change the entire trajectory of your holidays, of your whole life, just by doing a little shift compounded over time. The second truth about airplanes that I want to talk about is, paradoxically, an airplane, when it's flying from, let's say, Denver, which is where I am, Denver, Colorado, to New York City, okay, because I'm in the United States. During that trip, the airplane is only on course 95% of the time that it's flying. It's only headed in the perfect direction 5% of the time. 95% of the time, it is actually like a percentage of a degree off. And the navigational equipment on the airplane is constantly making these micro corrections back towards the actual direction that the plane needs to fly in order to get to its destination. So, those two truths about airplanes. Number one, only 1 degree difference can land you in two completely different areas of the world, over compounded over many miles. The same is for you. If you do a 1 degree turn and you stay in that direction, it can completely change everything. And the other important thing to know is that even planes course correct on a micro level constantly in order to be able to get to their destination because they know how important those tiny, tiny, tiny little shifts are. So keep those principles in mind as you think about, like, how do I want to be shifting and changing how I relate to myself and how I show up at all these like holiday gatherings, work parties, like all the holiday events and things that I want to do for myself. just keep those things in mind because it really doesn't have to be huge. I'm going to look in the comments real fast and we're going to start talking about expectations, which I know that's, oops, oh dear. Stout Nika, that's what you had wanted to talk about next. And that is what we're going to talk about right now. Every holiday season, Leah says, I spend almost all my time laying in bed watching TV because I'm so exhausted from my non holiday life. But I want to use this time to connect with others and myself. Amazing. Okay. I'm going to write down connecting with self, but exhausted from the rest of life. I feel like this is very common. First of all, you should know you're not alone. So many people who are burnt out, highly sensitive, high achievers, we are pushing ourselves, or at least, again, I used to. I work with myself relatively well in this department, and this is what I help coach clients on now. Um, but it's not uncommon for highly sensitive high achievers to have a tendency to push yourself to such a degree that the moment you take vacations, it's like you're either longing to get sick. I know that that's like a thing that was a thing for me. I'd be like, "Oh, if I could just get sick, but like not too sick, then I could like have an excuse to just lay in bed." And then I would lay in bed and be like, "Oh my god, I feel terrible. Why can't I relax? Like, why do I feel like I have so much pressure to still like be amazing and perfect?" And then same thing with vacations, which I feel like holidays are kind of like a vacation on steroids where it's not a restful vacation, but you are expecting yourself to like do so much. There's like so much hype and pressure put up on the holidays that if you're already in a depleted state, like there's no room to actually do even half of the things that you want to be doing during your free time. So thank you so much for sharing, Leah. And we're gonna get into how to handle that in just a minute. So yeah, what are you expecting? I was about to say expectating. What are you expecting or needing that you're not getting? What needs aren't getting met? I think that's one thing that I want to talk about the holidays, because very often for highly sensitive high achievers, we are making big changes in our life. We're like working on recovering from burnout. We're trying not to people please so much anymore. We're trying to listen to our intuition, learn what that even feels like, learn how that feels in our body, learn how to act and live from that place. And then we're put back into these situations with family or friends who have expected us to be a different way. And I feel like a couple of things can happen. Either we hope that like the people in our lives will be able to see the new version of us and will be open-minded enough to notice how we've changed, or we will be really like hoping that they will be able to change with us. And the fact that they respond in a way that's like either not supportive or they just don't get it, or they're expecting you to do the same kind of like people pleasing, taking care of everyone else type of behaviors, um, that can be kind of disconcerting and a little bit disappointing. So what I want to ask you is like, what are you expecting or needing out of the holidays that you're not getting? What needs of yours aren't getting met? And then when it comes to this whole, I want to connect with others in my life, um, and I want to connect with myself. I also want to ask you, what are you expecting? Because the thing that I really want to begin to invite you to inquire about your expectations is, are these things actually reflective of the truth of your life right now? Are your expectations actually adding to a sense of pressure of how perfect this holiday needs to go? How like well your family interactions need to go in order for you to be able to enjoy enjoy the holiday season? Um what where are you setting yourself up for disappointment, grief, anger, frustration, either expecting other people to be different from how they are, and where they're at in relation to like all the things that you're doing in your life, or even where are you expecting yourself to be different than the reality that you're living in right now? So, Leah, for you, I'm thinking of what you shared. laying in bed watching TV because I'm so exhausted. I hear, or my hunch is that there's a little bit of there's a potential for like a self-punishment there of like, I should be able to not have to be in this state. Where is your exhaustion showing you a truth of what's happening in your life right now that actually deserves compassion and care? And how could you maybe try to ask the people in your life to meet you where you are rather than expecting yourself to fit into the stereotypical mold of, here's all the holiday activities that I could or should be doing with my family in order to connect with them. Do you see how that's different? Of like, if I'm exhausted and I'm totally depleted and I don't have energy for everything, what other ways of connecting could there be rather than me forcing myself to not lay in bed, not watch TV, and like go caroling around the block or go, help prep for this like 6-hour long holiday party extravaganza? Or again, I don't know, or doing like, the family ski outing or something. Is there a compromise that you could try to advocate for? Um, and this is again coming into like, what are your family's expectations? What are your friends' expectations of you? And how might that you trying to meet their expectations be setting you up for distress and honestly them for distress as well because of you like like avoiding bringing up the things that you're needing at this time during the holiday season. So um, the next thing that I want to talk about is, let's see. I actually wrote, oh yeah, I need to share slash I want to share examples of small interventions that can make a huge difference. So let's say you're in a situation where it's really anxiety provoking. You are like actively trying not to panic. Um, Maybe you're having to like think about seeing or talking to someone in your family that really stresses you out. Um, Maybe you are having to go to an event that you'd really prefer not to go to. And again, there are ways to like work with yourself and actually have the conversations you need to have in order to change like the expectations around what types of things you really should or need to show up for. But if you aren't able to have those conversations for one reason or another, let's do this exercise. This is a nervous system downregulation exercise. So let's get into it. What I'm going to invite you to do is find one thing that you can look at in your environment that's like a fixed point. So just choose one very specific thing to look at and keep your eyes fixed on that. Okay? So I'm looking at like the little end of a cord that's here on my desk. I have like a whole thing of cords here. Um, for my various like camera and musical equipment. So I'm looking right at that. And so find whatever you can find in your environment where you can just stare right at it. As you stare at that thing without moving your eyes, see if you can become more aware of the items in your peripheral vision. So keeping your eyes fixed on that point, begin to bring awareness to the things at the side of you, almost completely over to your side. What if it were possible to see almost behind you while you keep this fixed gaze? Keep being curious about, like, what can I see in my periphery? And as you do this, you might notice that you begin breathing deeper a little bit. You might notice that you begin salivating. You might notice that you get a little shiver. You might notice that maybe you have tears coming up. And all of that is just indicative of you actually releasing some pent up energy that's been in your body because this exercise down regulates your nervous system. It helps put you into a parasympathetic rest and digest type of state. And to come out of this exercise, feel free to blink your eyes a couple of times. You could yawn, take a stretch, do a little shake. If you need to cry, you can cry. We're going to talk about that next. But that is a very quick way to kind of get yourself out of a panic mode and into a more down-regulated nervous system state where you have a little bit more capacity to choose. That's what these nervous system exercises are all about. They're not band-aid solutions necessarily. They're really good in a pinch, but what they're excellent, excellent, excellent for is helping you feel like you have enough capacity to make a different choice. Whether that's choosing to remove yourself from a stressful environment, choosing to have a conversation about how you can change or shift the environment to meet your needs a little bit more easily. That's what these exercises are really good for. I'll do a couple more quick ones. So, if you are feeling like suffocated by shame, by your inner critic, by the voices of either your parents or friends or people who you think are like really judging you, or maybe they've straight up told you, like, you're a terrible person. You shouldn't be doing this. You're so selfish, blah, blah, blah. I know for years, my holiday situations were like that, where I basically had people telling me what a terrible person I was, like constantly, because they were emotionally abusive. So, if you are in a situation like that and you're feeling crowded in by shame, something that I would invite you to do, another quick fix type exercise that again is good in small doses to make those little tiny 1% corrections in direction and give you a little bit more capacity for choice, is to first just notice what's in your environment. Kind of look around, notice the objects in your space, slowly turn your head. From side to side. Notice your body contacting either the ground or the chair. And then notice where that shame lives in your body when you think about that voice of like, oh, you're so selfish, or oh, you're so weak, grow a backbone, or whatever either your own inner critic is telling you, or maybe people who are really critical in your own life that you're now having to talk to over the holidays. Like, well, notice what happens in your body when that narrative is here. And the next thing I want to invite you to do is put your hands face out. So palms facing away from you. So out towards the space in the room. And slowly, slowly begin to push them out and away. And say, not mine, with your voice. Not mine. Slowly, slowly, slowly pushing your hands out. And then once you've reached them out as far as feels comfortable, you can gently bring them back on your lap to rest. Notice what feels different or maybe the same in your body. Let's do that one more time. Raising your hands up, palms out. Slowly push them away. Not mine. Not mine. Say that while you're slowly pushing your hands out. And again, once you've reached out as far as feels comfortable, put your hands back in your lap. Yeah, what is happening in your body? I'm really curious. For me, when I am in a truly very shame-filled, crushed, frozen, tense, constricted state, this exercise of not mine, I often feel a lot of emotion come up because there's just a lot of sadness and grief that I haven't allowed myself to feel that's been buried under the shame. But wow, my body also feels like so much more free, expansive, um, and loose. And again, these are the kinds of states that we're looking to support ourselves with, not fix yourself, support yourself with, so that you can begin to make different choices in your interactions with your family and friends, in what you want to be doing over the holidays. So let's talk next. We only have a couple of minutes left, actually. So let's talk next about crying. Give yourself places and spaces to cry, okay? Again, there is so much expectations, heavy expectations of ourselves, of how we should be showing up over the holidays, of what other people are expecting of us, especially if we have been perfectionists and people pleasers and high achievers relationally, i.e., taking care of everyone else in our lives instead of taking care of ourselves. There might be people in your life who are really expecting a lot of you, and there's a lot of pressure there. Crying. Give yourself places to cry. Give yourself places to hold yourself, hug yourself, see yourself, be there with yourself. You could go on a walk and cry. You could go into the bathroom and cry. You could be in the shower and cry. You could be driving and cry. Fill in the blank and cry. Okay? Like, there is nothing wrong with needing to take some time to cry. I know that there's often another level of um, shame that comes up when we're like having these strong emotions sometimes, of like, oh, I shouldn't be this upset, or I shouldn't be feeling what I'm feeling. No, no, no. You're allowed to feel however you feel. There's wisdom in whatever you're feeling right now. And allowing it to pass through you is actually what's going to help give you, again, more space and more capacity to figure out how to better support yourself and how to choose how you want to interact with your family, and friends, and in all these holiday situations over the next however many few weeks. Feeling an emotion from start to end without continuing to tell stories about what that feeling means only takes about 90 seconds. Isn't that wild? So just give yourself 90 seconds, 2 minutes, 5 minutes to cry, shake it out, and then you'll be able to have more spaciousness on the other side. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is, what do you want out of your holiday rituals and holiday family interactions? What would feel supportive to you? And Leah, I'm not sure if you're still here, but um, getting really, again, curious about, like, of the things that I think that I want, like I heard you say, I want to use this time to connect with others and myself. What do I really want? Like, if I am letting go of what you're supposed to be doing over the holidays, like, or what other people want me to do over the holidays, like, what do you want? What do you really want? Do you want to find a way to combine restfulness and being connected with others? Like, what would that look like if you were being more restful than normal and you were still connecting with others? Would you be having, like, inviting people to hang out in bed with you and, like, watch TV with you and chit chat while you do that? Would you be, like, just inviting people over for, like, hot cocoa and a pajama party instead of expecting yourself to do, like, some crazy lavish holiday activities? What do you want and desire and value out of your family rituals, holiday rituals, spending time with people, etc.? So often, highly sensitive high achievers, again, because we just learned from a really young age that in order to keep ourselves safe, we had to keep everyone around us regulated. It is not uncommon to constantly be asking ourselves, like, what does everyone else need? What is expected of me? What am I supposed to do? Rather than asking, what do I want? How do I feel? And even just taking a couple minutes to ask that of yourself is really good. So, the next thing that I want to talk about is, who are the people in your life that you can connect with in the tiniest little doses? So again, this could be like 5 minutes of connection at a time. sending a couple texts back and forth being like, "Hey, hey babe, how you doing?" Like, "Hey friend, what's going on?" Like, "How are you supporting yourself?" Like, let's take pictures of ourselves making silly faces and like send them back and forth to each other. I don't know what your form of connection is, like sending memes back and forth. Um, it's like, what are the people in your life? Who are the people in your life that you do feel nourished by, you do feel connected with already, that does see the version of you that is recovering from burnout, that is changing how you relate with yourself to be kinder, that is letting go of expectations more and more and layer by layer. Who are the people who really do see you, who are capable of meeting your needs, and who are willing to co create a holiday experience with you that gives you more of what you want and what you truly value? So take it even just a couple minutes to really think through, and not even think, feel through. Just think about the people in your life and notice what happens in your body as you think about each one of them. We're looking for neutral feelings, spacious feelings in your body. Maybe it could be joyful, maybe it could be excited, but don't discount the people who just feel calm to you. Don't discount those people, because those people are just, in my experience, often, very often, those are the rightest people, sometimes even more than the people that you find incredibly exciting to think about or to be with. Because that neutrality, that neutral space is like, I can just be my most chill, most non performative, most grounded self, and this other person will probably be okay with it. And so just feel through that. Take 2 minutes, 3 minutes when you're driving from one thing or the other, walking from one thing or the other today, and ask yourself, like, who actually feels good, like neutral to good in my body when I think about spending time with them, talking with them, and like how do I feel when I'm interacting with them, and what does that say about like how I could reach out to them over the holidays to look for connection and look for support. So, we've gone over quite a number of things. Don't underestimate the small interventions, thinking about those airplane truths, and go back and watch this if you haven't watched the beginning. And let me know if you're here watching live. Let me know what is landing with you, what some of your takeaways are. What are you going to try out? What are you going to do right now? What did you discover even over the course of this live? Because we covered so much. So, number one, don't underestimate the small interventions. We talked about why that's true when it comes to like airplanes and air travel, and how that can be true in your own life. We covered a couple of small kind of nervous system type interventions to help create a little bit more spaciousness in your nervous system so that you can be more curious about like what you're actually wanting and what you're needing, and what you could do to change what's happening over the holidays to give yourself a little bit more space to decide not to go to an event, or to decide to ask people to come to you and meet you where you are, either literally or figuratively, instead of you like always having to meet people where they are. Um, let's see. Um, taking stock of like, what are you expecting of yourself? What are you expecting of others? And what are others expecting of you? And how is that either meeting your needs or not meeting your needs? Basically, just taking stock of like, what are all the expectations that are here? And next, when you confront those expectations, there could be some grief that comes up of like, oh my gosh, I really was like hoping for this kind of a situation over the holidays, but that's actually not going to meet my needs. And I'm really sad that the expectations and the reality are just not lining up. And I'm just sad about that. Um, so crying, like allowing yourself spaces to cry. There is no shame in crying. The holidays do not have to be this most incredible time ever. Like, there's a lot of pressure put on holidays. Give yourself the space to be a whole human during the holidays. And I swear it's going to be so much better that way if you just give yourself time to cry and mourn the things that aren't how you wish that they could be. The next thing I want to ask you is, what do you value about your holiday rituals and spending time with friends and family over the holidays? What do you genuinely want? What are you needing right now? What is the reality? And then lastly, who are the people in your life who are capable of co-creating this reality with you, either in larger ways or in, again, those tiny little ways? Don't underestimate the tiny little connection points with people that can actually add a lot more of the types of feelings that you want to be experiencing over the holiday season. Even just little 2 minute snatches, 5 minute snatches of connection with people who get you, who have a similar vision, or at least love and respect you enough to meet you where you are and with what you're needing over the holidays. It is so doable in like all of these little smaller points. So, let's see. Can Mika-san, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but hello. First time hearing these techniques. I have a presentation tomorrow. I'd like to try them. Thank you. Yes, they're really, really good for yeah, any kind of a nerve-wracking situation or a situation where you're like saying these really intense, either critical or shameful things um, to yourself. Marley says, I liked the part about expectations about myself. It can be so difficult not to be hard on myself about the energy I have. Currently on a city trip and just being in the bed of the hotel room. 100%. Again, I need to do a whole live or a whole like workshop on how to handle vacations and holidays and the expectation that we put on these things to be like just the peak experiences, when in reality, most people, at least in my experience, like anecdotally that I talk to, it's like we need a solid day in bed, especially highly sensitive high achievers. We need a solid day in bed to recover after you get to a new city and like just rest and like kind of get used to the new environment before doing all sorts of new things. We have so much pressure around like creating these peak experiences that is just honestly, it doesn't match up with like what our capacity actually is, and we make ourselves wrong for that so often. um and you are not wrong. Like there is goodness in you. You are a highly sensitive person, Marley. Feel relatively confident in saying that about you, and you are here after all in the highly sensitive high achiever land that is unlearn become. If you are a highly sensitive person, your nervous system is just taking in so much more data than other people. And so that means that you need a little bit more buffer time between activities, and you are not broken. You are not wrong. You are beautiful and good. And you just need to find ways to support yourself in the type of nervous system that you have. And when you can kind of unwind that story of like, I should be able to do these things, or I should be able to push through, and when I work with one-on-one clients, we do a lot of work on teasing out and truly unlearning these types of thoughts that we think about ourselves. There is a way in a day, I know because I've lived it, and so have my clients, where you literally won't be able to think that about yourself anymore. You won't be able to think that you're broken or wrong. And you'll be like, oh my God, this is awesome. Like I just get to rest after I get to a new place. Amazing. And then that actually makes it so much easier to enjoy the resting and also what comes after it, because you're not shaming yourself for being how you are anymore. So, anyway, I hope that was helpful. Let me quickly talk. I have to jump off like right now, but current offers. If you want to do more of this work of unlearning the unhelpful thoughts that are kind of keeping you stuck in shame and frozenness and ugh, and you aren't really able to take sustainable steps towards your goals in the way that you would really like to because you have these like lofty goals that you want to be achieving, I have a 6-month program that is a one-on-one coaching program called Burnout to Batty. And this is exactly for highly sensitive high achievers who have these huge, lofty goals. You want to be a performer. You want to be like a number one podcaster. You want to start a community garden that feeds thousands of people. You want to like write a novel and have that be like, a bestseller or whatever it is. You have these huge dreams that have been planted in you, for a reason. And you are used to being a high achiever, but taking care of everyone else and kind of doing that high achieving life because you want to make sure that everyone else is happy. And you haven't yet transitioned to making your high achievements happen just for you. This is exactly who this 6-month coaching program is for. This is the most intensive level of support that I can offer. It is weekly coaching, Voxer, so you have me in your pocket and can talk to me throughout the week. A VIP kickoff where we really set the direction for the next 6 months so that we have a very tangible outcome that we're working towards. And all of the mindset work, all of the somatic work, all of the shedding of these belief systems that we've internalized that actually allows you to work towards your huge goals and accomplish them with so much more speed and efficiency and fun and joy and exhilaration than just trying to steamroll over yourself and power through. So if you are interested in Burnout to Baddie, DM me burn, okay? If you are watching this, and I will get back to you with details and we'll have a little chat in the DMs. If you are looking for a free opportunity to work together a little bit more closely, I'm going to be posting about this today. It's actually just a masterclass I'm going to be doing next week, exactly a week from today. So that's Wednesday, the 20th. It's going to be all about getting unstuck, this frozenness that so many of us exist in very often. How do we work with that frozenness and thaw it out so that we can begin taking the incremental little steps sustainably towards our bigger goals? And then if you're looking for my kind of most price accessible, full comprehensive program situation, I have a mini course called How to Stop Burning Yourself Out. And this mini course, oh my gosh, I poured myself into it. It is so good. It is, I think, like 6 or 7 audio lessons, I forget exactly, and it has a companion workbook that is all about literally every single phase that I had to go through and my clients have to go through in recovering from burnout. It is only $49 US. That is like you're getting literally the 101 level of every area of life of how to recover from burnout and stop burning yourself out in every area of your life, relationships, body, career, and not only just how to stop you getting sapped energetically, but how to actually like use these things to restore your energy and get your energy back. So Burnout to Baddie one-on-one coaching, this is, I'm just like, this will fucking change your whole life. There is like a before and an after when it comes to going through this program. And this intensive one-on-one support is, if you want the most guarantee of long-lasting change because of accountability and robustness of support, this is the program for you. So DM me burn. And if you want the mini course, DM me mini, and I will chat with you about that. And then the free masterclass, I'm going to be posting in stories about that today so that you can sign up for the free masterclass that is happening next week. Okay, I'm going to look in the comments one more time. Thanks for saying that, says Marley. Yay. I'm so glad that that helped. Yeah, we just put so much pressure on ourselves to have things look a certain way. And it doesn't have to be that way. And it's so much more fun when the pressure is off. So have a wonderful rest of your day. Next week, we are doing a live back on Tuesday, our regular time at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. And I actually have a guest for the very first time who is a music therapist. And she's going to be coming on and talking all about how she uses music and music therapy in her own self-care to help her and her clients like prevent themselves from getting burnt out. So join us next week. I'm like so stoked to have her on and talk about that. And I'll be, doing some promotion for that in the days leading up to the live. So please join us there if you want to talk about how to use music as a way of supporting yourself in processing emotions and in general living just a more high quality life. And I really think that for highly sensitive high achievers, the arts are our vehicle for personal transformation, and this is a huge part of my mission at Unlearn Become is restoring the place of art as, like, a healing tool and a ritual tool for transformation. Um, Anyway, I could talk about that for hours as well, but I'm gonna stop talking now. I'm gonna let y'all go. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I will see you next week, Tuesday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time for our collaborative live, and I'll see you in the DMs about all the offerings that we've got coming up. Mwah! See you later. Bye. Bye, YouTube. I always have this awkward in between, but bye. Mwah.